We're here at Steamy Joe's at the Bradford Inn in Branson, Missouri. And what's interesting about this is those here in our Lamar area are familiar with the Fleagle Gang and the robbery of the First National Bank in Lamar. And one of the Fleagle members, actually Jake Fleagle, made his way to Branson, Missouri. And you can actually see Branson, Missouri off in the distance there. And what we know a little bit about the Fleagle Gang and with Jake Fleagle is there were four of them total. It was Jake, his brother, and then two other along with them. And three of them were caught about a year after they were arrested and charged. And it's interesting because the Fleagle Gang is the first use of a fingerprint to catch a criminal. And so the gang included Ralph Fleagle, Jake Fleagle, and then two other companions. And during the robbery at the First National Bank, the bank president came out of his office and he fired his gun and he hit one of the robbers. And the robber shot back and he killed the bank president. Three of them were caught starting about a year later. It was the first case, as I said, using a fingerprint, and it was Ralph and the two companions that were caught using the fingerprint in 1929. And the robbery itself was May 23rd, 1928. And they were prosecuted and each given the death penalty. But Jake Fleagle somehow got away, and over the course of a couple years, at one point he made his way here to Branson, Missouri, and he went under the alias Walter Cook, and he lived the life as a chicken farmer. And no one that knew him thought anything of him of being a bank robber or anything like that. They just got maybe he's kind of a rugged kind of person, but never thought anything of him like a criminal. But it took some time, and though the first three were caught through a fingerprint, Jake was actually tracked down through handwriting analysis. And law officials were able to send out circulars of Jake's handwriting. They were mailed to postal workers across southwest Missouri. And they were able to track him down into Missouri. And then finally, one of his letters was detected. It was addressed to a man in California. And since postal inspectors were forbidden to open mail, they delivered the letter, which required the recipient, who happened to be an old friend of Jake, to open it in their presence. And so they had him write Jake, and Jake wrote back and wanted to meet and asked him to insert a classified ad in the Wichita, Kansas Eagle. And in agreement to work with the postal inspectors, the friend inserted the ad. And so he wrote back to Jake. Jake wrote back to him, and they decided to meet in Yellville, Arkansas on October 14th, 1930. And so Jake Fleagle, alias Walter Cook, and Lee Cook drove through Branson Tuesday morning about 10 a.m. And Jake bought a ticket back to Hollister, and they waited in their car until the southbound train arrived. And it's reported that Fleagle, he was, clean shaven that day, but he was dressed very poorly. 5 officers were on the train, 2 from Kansas City, 2 from Los Angeles, and 1 from Colorado Springs, along with 3 postal inspectors. They had studied a lot about what he looked like, so when they saw him, they would be immediately able to apprehend him. So the officers, they spotted Fleagle through the coach window coming up the Branson platform. They moved toward the passenger car entrance. As Jake came into the vestibule, they approached and ordered him to put him up. But Fleagle reached for his gun. An officer fired into his stomach. Another officer grabbed Fleagle's gun, as soon handcuffed him and put him in leg irons. The lone bullet emerged from Fleagle's back and was later found embedded in the sill of a window coach. Before he lapsed into unconsciousness, he admitted he was Jake Fleagle, but answers to other questions were evasive. So he didn't really provide them much more information other than confirming his identity. But he did later die from his wounds, and so he wasn't able to actually even be prosecuted. But they did catch him through handwriting analysis. And so he moved here to Branson, changed his name, and got away for a little bit. But they police officers caught up with him and were able to catch up with him that day in Branson on October 14, 1930.